Streamlit makes it easy to turn Python scripts into shareable data apps. But when these apps grow beyond personal use and teams start relying on them, you need to ensure they're safe by adding authentication and single sign-on. Authentication keeps sensitive data protected and controls who can access what. SSO lets people sign in once and then move between apps without having to re-enter their credentials. Thanks to Descope, adding authentication and authorization to a Streamlit app is easy. In this video, I'll show you how you can make your Streamlit app production ready with Descope. If you want to follow along, make sure you have the following prerequisites: the latest version of Python on your machine, a free Descope account, and an Okta account. If you don't have a Descope or Okta account, you can use the links in the description to get started. The GitHub repo is also available in the description, and you can copy and paste the code if you want to follow along. To get started, I'll create a new project in Descope. I'm naming it Streamlit SSO Demo, but you can use any name you like. Once the project is created, I'll go into Settings and then Project and copy this project ID. Now I'll create a Streamlit project. I'll make a directory and navigate into it. Then I'll create a virtual environment and activate it. I'll run pip install Streamlit to install Streamlit. In this directory, I'll create another directory named .streamlit and create a secrets.toml file. Then I'll paste the project ID that I copied earlier, like this. I'll create an app.py file and paste this code. This creates a simple app with a title and some text. Before working on the Enterprise SSO, let's start with something most users expect out of the box: social logins. OAuth providers like Google or GitHub let people sign in with accounts they already trust. This removes friction during signup and makes it so you don't have to manage another password. When you add OAuth, the Streamlit app instantly feels more professional and user-friendly. And when paired with SSO later, you get the ease of use and security that you need. In the Descope console, I'll go to Authentication Methods, then Social Login. As you can see, there is a list of providers. I'll choose Google. There's also an option to specify a different account for authentication if you prefer. The redirect URL is the location users will return to after completing authentication. Since we're working locally, I'll set it to my app's address, which is localhost 8501. Then I'll click Save. Now it's time to add Descope to my app. I'll run pip install Descope to install the Descope SDK. In the code, I'll initialize the Descope client. Then I'll paste this code. This creates a button labeled Sign In with Google. When the user clicks on it, the Descope client launches an OAuth session and redirects the user to the Google sign-in page. After logging in with Google, the user returns to the same page with a login code as a query parameter. They exchange this code for an access token that logs them in. I'll replace the code with this. Here, I'm checking if the token exists in the Streamlit session state. If it doesn't, the user is not logged in. If the code query parameter exists, then it means that the user has initiated the login flow and was redirected after logging in with Google. I'll use the SSO.ExchangeToken method of the Descope client to get an access token, which I'll store in Streamlit's session state. Descope also provides a refresh token, which I'll use to validate or refresh the access token. Finally, I'll store the user object in the session. If the code parameter is not present, I'll display the sign-in button like before. If the token is present in the session, I'll use the validate and refresh session method of the Descope client to validate the session. If the token has expired, this method will refresh and return a new token, and I'll update the state. I'll fetch the user and display their name and email. Then I'll add a logout button, which deletes the token and refreshes the app. Now that I have OAuth login and logout ready, let's run the app. I'll run Streamlit run app.py, which opens the app in my browser. I'll click on the Sign In button and sign in with Google. Once signed in, I'll be able to see my info. When I click Logout, I'll be redirected to the home page. Now it's time to add SAML SSO to my app. The Security Assertion Markup language is an open standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data between an IDP and a service provider. In this setup, platforms like Okta act as the IDP, and your Streamlit app functions as the service provider. In the SSO model, organizations that use the Streamlit app are represented as tenants. Each tenant groups users, permissions, and related configurations, allowing you to handle enterprise customers with their own SSO setup. First, I'll create a new tenant in Descope and name it Okta. In the Tenant Authentication Methods section, I'll choose the SAML protocol. I'll enter my email domain in the SSO Domains field under Tenant Details. This makes sure only the emails in this particular domain can access the app. In my Okta account, I'll click Admin. Then, I'll navigate to Applications and click Browse App Catalog to explore a comprehensive list of available integrations. I'll search for Descope in the catalog and add the integration. This creates a new Okta app automatically. In the General Settings tab, I'll provide a label for the new Okta app. I'll switch to the Assignments tab and assign users who would have access to my Streamlit app via SSO. Next, I'll switch to the Sign In Options tab and select SAML 2.0. I'll copy the metadata URL and paste it into the tenant's SSO configuration in Descope. I'll copy the ACS URL and entity ID from Descope into the Advanced Sign-On settings in Okta. In the Attribution Statements section, I'll add the following mappings. These mappings define how user attributes are passed from Okta to Descope. Back in Descope, I'll update my tenant's SSO mapping settings, so attributes from Okta align with Descope's schema. Then I'll save the settings. Now I'll add SSO to the app. I'll go to Tenant Settings and copy the tenant ID. I'll paste it in the Secrets file. In the code, I'll fetch the tenant ID. Then add another button labeled Sign In with SSO. This uses the SSO.start method to start the SSO process. I'll rerun the app, click on the SSO button, and log in with Okta. As you can see, the rest of the process works, since I already implemented the code exchange process. Descope abstracts the process so that I don't have to write a different code for Okta login. While authentication verifies the user's identity, authorization controls the user's access to resources and features based on predefined roles and permissions. The Descope console includes tools to manage user roles and permissions so you can enforce access control in your Streamlit app. After login, Descope returns role information you can use to tailor the UI and gate functionality. Let's add an authorization check so that the app displays admin-only content to users with the admin role. I'll go to the Users page and look for the user I want to update. I'll edit the user and add the tenant admin role and save it. In the code, I can access the roles by the role names property. If the user has the tenant admin role, I'll simply display a banner. Now, when I log in as an admin, I'll see the admin banner. And that's all you have to do to add OAuth and SSO to a Streamlit app. Descope makes adding authentication and authorization a breeze while also ensuring security and compliance. Interested? Create your free account and try it out for yourself.